What's up, guys? What's up? We're going through a really bad bear market. Oh, by the way, my name is Ty Zen. Welcome to the cryptocurrency.market channel. We are a trading, investing, and entrepreneurship channel. In this video, guys, I want to talk about courage. I want to talk about being brave. I want to talk about having balls, okay? And I want to talk about being a real man, okay? And talk about not being a chicken shit when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin, okay? Let me start off with something real quick, guys. I learned a very valuable, okay, many of you guys already know I came from Vietnam as a refugee, came to America as a Vietnamese refugee after the war. And then I grew up very poor in America, working in the fruit and vegetable fields in elementary school, worked in the sweatshops in America in middle school, and then in high school I worked at the ship docks, building commercial fishing boats and stuff. I was so poor I grew up in the black neighborhoods in the ghettos of America, ended up selling drugs, going to prison for almost 14 years, okay, and then coming out, and then had to rebuild my life when I was in my mid-30s and get started. And it wasn't until a decade later that I reached a financial success where I was able to retire early, okay? In this video, I want to talk about one of the things that helped me get to where I'm at today, okay? And then hopefully it'll help you guys in some way. When I was in the federal prison in America, okay, I remember in my early 20s, I came in as a teenager at 18 years old, and by the time I was 21, 22, somewhere around there in my early 20s, I met a real criminal. His name was Bob, okay? Bob was a real criminal. Bob used to tell me all the time, he was like 50-something, 60 years old at that time, and I was in my early 20s, and Bob used to tell me all the time that I should not have been in prison. Okay, he says that I'm not a real criminal. He always told me I was just too soft and too friendly. And he said that it was a shame that the US government put me in prison for drugs, okay? And he said that it's sad because, you know, he said that the people like me should be put in school and should be trained to live out in society. So he was saying all this good stuff about me, and I'm thinking like, that's weird. I'm like, so I asked Bob, I said, well, what about the guys like you, Bob? Like, aren't you a good guy also? I mean, you know, didn't you make mistakes like I did, you know, and, you know, got desperate and, you know, sold drugs and tried to pay the bills and stuff? He goes, no. He goes, the guys like me should be in here. And it was like one of the first times that I actually met a prisoner that admitted the truth. He said, Bob said, I'm a real criminal. He said, I had a business that was making plenty of money. There was no need for me to go sell drugs. There was no need for me to go rob banks. He goes, I already made enough money. He goes, I own several businesses, and he goes, there was absolutely no reason for me to go commit any crimes, go break the law, do anything illegal to make money. He goes, because I had businesses that made plenty of money. And so, and he goes, I didn't need to make any more money, okay? He goes, you on the other hand, Ty, he said, you came here as a refugee, you were dead poor, your family didn't know how to make money, and that's why, you know, desperate times calls for desperate measures, and you went and did a bunch, you broke the law in the US, but he said you broke the law because you were so poor and so broke, and you didn't have no money to buy food and stuff, that's why you broke the law. You should not be in here. He goes, you should go out there and learn how to be an entrepreneur, learn how the people in America make money, so you can go make money and not go break the law. He goes, because you're actually a law-abiding citizen, you just got desperate, and that's why you did that. But he said, Bob said, I don't see you as a criminal because you were just trying to find food and pay the bills and stuff. He goes, on the other hand, he said, for me, I'm a real criminal. He goes, I already had businesses that made money. He goes, I went and committed crimes because I got a thrill out of it. I go, what do you mean? He said, one of my high school friends, good friend of mine, said that he was involved in drugs and somebody owed him some money for some drugs, and and he was too scared to do anything. And the guy owed him a bunch of money, like $20,000-$30,000 or something like that, for a kilo of cocaine or something like that, right? And Bob said that it was his good friend, and his good friend from high school asked him, hey, Bob, since you're a little bit bigger and you know how to fight and stuff, you're from the streets and stuff, can you help me go over there and just maybe say something? Like maybe the guy will pay me the money that he owes me for the drugs I sold him, okay? So Bob said, yeah, I'll go with him. I mean, I don't know anything about drugs. I don't know anything like that. I don't know how I can help you, right? But if you want me to go with you, he goes, I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't know nothing about the stuff on that. So I'll go with you just so he sees that there's two guys instead of one. If that'll help you, I'll go with you as a friend. And he goes, I'm not going to get killed or get shot or nothing like that, right? And he said, no, you're not. So he said, all right, I'll go with you. So they went over there, and one thing led to another, and Bob ended up having to beat up the other guy that owed his friend money, and then the guy paid. But during that moment, Bob got an adrenaline rush, and he couldn't believe how exciting and how good he felt. Right? Bob was I swear to God, he was a stereotypical crazy white guy. The white guys that just do crazy stuff, right? And he did this, and he got excited about it, and he couldn't sleep. He told me he couldn't sleep all that night, and even the next day, his adrenaline was still. He had never roughed somebody up, and he just the thrill of the excitement and everything. I guess he was a bored white dude or something, but he found a lot of excitement doing that. And he went on from that and continued helping out his drug selling buddy. And they went and committed a bunch of other crimes until he finally got caught, and then he was put in prison for robbing a bank and a bunch of other stuff. And so Bob always told me, he goes, I know I shouldn't have been doing it. He goes, I know I was breaking the law, but he goes, I got a thrill out of it. He goes, it just gave me a rush to go and rob banks and just, he said, I never went and robbed individuals or nothing. He goes, I love robbing institutions, because I knew that he felt that he was not hurting an individual. He's just going in and robbing a bank. I said, dude, you're scaring the shit out of all the people that work in the bank and everything, and he said, nah, he didn't think so, but he said, I deserve to be in prison. He says, you don't deserve to be in there, Ty. Okay, so that I'm sharing this story with you because I want you guys to understand the mindset and the background of my friend Bob. Okay, now I looked up to Bob because when I went into prison, I looked up to him and a few other older guys because I came in as a teenager and I did not know how to survive in prison. So because of that, I mean, and I was very cautious, and because some of the older guys, they try to tell you that they're helping you, but instead they're trying to make you their little bitch. They try to help you, and then one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you're like their little bitch in there, and they're banging you in the ass. Okay, so I was really cautious about that, and I knew that was happening. So it took me a long time to get to know Bob and be close friends with him. Okay, because I realized he was a genuinely a guy that was trying to help me survive. Bob did not like the idea of these teenagers being put in prison. He didn't like the idea of these teenagers coming in and getting raped or getting sexually assaulted by these older prisoners. So he did whatever he could to stop that. So a lot of the guys in there were scared of him because they knew that he did not tolerate that kind of nonsense, and he did whatever he could to prevent young teenagers like myself from going in there and getting hurt or getting sexually assaulted or getting raped in prison. Okay, so I still thank him to this day. Okay, because he saved me on a lot of occasions, and he helped me out on a lot of occasions when I was a teenager and I was immature and did not know how to survive inside an American prison. Okay, so there was a situation where many of you guys don't know this, but all the street signs, the majority of the street signs in America are manufactured by federal prisoners. Okay, inside the prison slave factories. Okay, so to prevent us from goofing off and fighting and doing all that stuff, and making sure that we had some type of working experience before we released back onto the streets, the federal prisons require us to go to work every day. So we had to go to work, get up at 6, go to work, and instead of being 9 to 5, it was like 8 to 4, like 8 to 3:30, something like that. Okay, and so the prison factory that I worked in was responsible for manufacturing the street signs, and there was many of them across the U.S. But I was in the one that was they manufacture lots of stuff for the U.S. government, and the one I was at was responsible for manufacturing the street signs. Okay, and we published all the flyers that the Federal Aviation Administration in America issues out to all the pilots and everything. Like every time there's a new notice, new laws, new policies about flying in America, we would be the ones that publish those flyers, those brochures, those booklets, and send it out to all the pilots and all the airports and stuff like that. Okay, so all these federal aviation flyers, books, brochures, and all the street signs that we manufactured were in this massive, massive warehouse. Okay, and in that warehouse, there would always be guys that work in there that they would they would work in the they would do illegal stuff, like they would smuggle drugs in, they would smuggle jewelry in, they would smuggle watches in, and then they somehow or another would store it inside one of the boxes or one of the containers inside this huge warehouse. Okay, and this warehouse was huge, and yet, I mean, you can drive several forklifts at the same time on there. The aisles were big enough to drive, like, you know, large forklifts through. So I just want to give you guys an idea of how big this warehouse was. Okay. Anyways, there was this black dude that worked in that warehouse with me, and he was smuggling in some creatine. Back when creatine started becoming popular, and creatine is a exercise fitness supplement that they just made legal in the U.S. So people were smuggling it inside the prison because these guys were working out and they wanted to get bigger and stronger, and they believed this creatine and these protein powders would make them bigger and stronger when they first became legal in the U.S. Okay, so at that time they would smuggle like 1 gallon container of creatine on the streets was like $30-40 or something like that. I can't remember. It was $30 or $300. It's one of those prices. It's been so long now. And then by the time it got into the prison, they could sell it for anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 for that container of creatine. Okay, and people were buying it left and right. So this black dude, he was smuggling it into the warehouse, and unbeknownst to me, he was storing it in different parts of the warehouse. And one of the places where he stored it at inside the warehouse was right above me, where I was sitting at to do my work in the warehouse. He put it right above me because he thought I was Asian, I was young at that time, and he thought I would be too stupid to know that it was there. Okay, and the reason why he put it there was because if the prison guards raid the warehouse and they inspect the warehouse and they find it, I would be the one who takes the blame for it because it was right above my head where I was working. Okay, now I was always suspicious of this black guy. Okay, and one day he got arrested and was thrown in the hole because, and the hole is a jail inside the prison. Okay, so they locked him up for investigation for supposedly selling some illegal stuff, and word on the prison yard was that he was selling this food supplement called creatine. Okay, and so I realized that. Okay, I realized that, and I said, hey, you know, I told my friend Bob at that time, I said, hey man, this black guy, Bob worked in the prison slave factory with me, but in a different room, in a different warehouse, in a different department. And I told him, I said, hey man, this black guy just got busted for selling, smuggling nutrition stuff, food supplements into, and he just got busted out there. And since he works inside the warehouse with me, I assume that the food supplement that he was smuggling in is inside that warehouse somewhere, and I need to find it and throw it away before the prison guards find it and blame it on me. Okay, because I don't want any more prison time. I don't want to get in trouble for something that I'm not responsible for, okay? So, and I was telling Bob that, hey, I can go find it, and if I find it, if they catch me with it, the guards could probably blame it on me, and I get more prison time for something I didn't do, right? And I was telling him, what happens if the black dude's friend finds out that I threw away his shit, and they come and demand me to pay it back or do some other stuff, and I had all these negative thoughts in my mind, and the right action at that time for me was to go and shake down the whole warehouse, find the contraband, and just freaking throw it away and not deal with it. Okay, just throw it away, flush it down the toilet or whatever it was, and get rid of it. Right? That was the best action. Okay. Now you guys might think, well, why wouldn't the best action be to go tell the police? Okay, tell the prison guards, and they go inspect it and shake it down themselves? No, because if that happens, I would get locked up. Okay, since I work in the warehouse and they find contraband in there, the first thing is they lock me up for 6 months or a year and to do an investigation to find out if it was mine or not. And I'm not sitting in the hole for a whole year over somebody else's shit. So the best solution there is to find it and throw it away. That's the best solution at that time, okay, that I could think of. And it's still the best solution I can think of even today, okay, is that find it and throw it away. And then that's it, okay? Now, but I was scared to go do it because of a bunch of bullshit, right? And then I went ahead and I did it. And I found it and I flushed it all down the toilet, got rid of it, okay? Then the second thing happened that I did not expect, okay? One of the black dude's friends snuck into the warehouse, and I caught him. He snuck into the warehouse and he was looking around the warehouse, and I caught him, and he thought that I didn't see him when he snuck in, but I saw him, I caught him, and I called him out and I said, hey man, the only person that works in this warehouse is me, and the next time I catch you assing him, I'll beat the shit out of you, because whatever the hell you're doing in here is probably illegal, and I'm not going to be responsible for it, okay? So that was my biggest pet peeve, is that I already had my best friend snitch on me and set me up, and that was how I ended up in prison, right? He set me up with drugs, and that's how I ended up in prison. I was not going to let somebody else set me up a second time inside a prison, okay? I already made that mistake once, being friends with the wrong person, and they set me up, and I went to prison for 14 years of my life. I'm not going to let somebody else do that again to me, okay? So when I saw this black dude come in and sneak around and look around in all the shelves in the warehouse, my first instinct was, this cocksucker here is looking for that contraband, okay, for that creatine supplement for his buddy or something, right? Or looking for money. It's one of the two. And then it dawned on me, yeah, if he was storing the illegal supplements here, then he must have also stored the cash inside this warehouse somewhere. So it dawned on me that the cash is still inside this warehouse, okay? So I told the black dude to get his ass out the warehouse and get the fuck out of there, right? And I went back to my buddy Bob, and I said, hey Bob, I forgot something, man. I got rid of the supplements, the illegal supplements, but the money is still in this warehouse somewhere. The money is not gone. If he stored the contraband inside this warehouse, the cash must still be in here, inside this warehouse somewhere, okay? So there's still a chance that I can get in deep trouble because that cash is in here somewhere, right? And now that it's cash, right, it's completely illegal to have US dollars inside a federal prison. Like, you cannot have the notes, the $100 bills or the $20 bills, because that's completely illegal, because the only reason why you would have that is because you're doing something illegal inside the prison. So if there's a box full of cash somewhere inside that warehouse, I'm going to be in massive trouble if the prison guards find it. So I need to find it before everybody else does and get rid of it, okay, and take care of it and get rid of it somehow, right? And I was having all these negative thoughts. I was like, man, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, this is not my responsibility. I already got set up once in my life, I don't need this shit again in my life, My parents going to kill me if they find out that I'm in prison doing something illegal again, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I don't want this. I want to get out someday. I don't want to stay the rest of my life in prison, And, and so Bob I'm making up all these excuses instead of just going out there to the warehouse and shaking down the warehouse completely this time and making sure there's absolutely no contraband in the inside. And that will take me about 2 to 3 weeks because the warehouse is so damn big. That's 7 or 8 hours a day, right? And shaking down the warehouse and inspecting the warehouse. That would take me at least 2 to 3 weeks to cover the entire warehouse because it was so big, okay? And I remember Bob telling me something, right? He stood up while we were sitting there talking, and he stood up and he said, you know what? You see this pocket tie? He said, you see this? Anytime you get scared, he said, anytime you get scared, Ty, he said, you jump into this pocket and I'm going to protect you. This pocket here is very safe, you know? He goes, I've protected a lot of people in my life before, okay? When they feel unsafe, they feel danger, or they get scared, they you know, this pocket's always available, okay? Now, I want to share with you guys something in case you've never been in prison, which I hope you never do, and in case you're not a native English speaker, in case you don't understand American prison culture or any of that, okay? So in prison, what happens is a lot of teenagers go in there, like myself, and they get punked out. What getting punked means that, or you become somebody else's little bitch. That means that the older, stronger, more experienced prisoners have crushed your spirit of being a man, and they have made you into a little girl. And so they're raping you, and they're doing all kinds of stuff to you that you don't want done. But because you're not brave enough and strong enough to fight for yourself, they're going to take advantage of you, like that, okay? So, and usually, whenever the teenage kids that become somebody else's little bitch, or somebody else's little girlfriend, or somebody else's little boy toy, what happens is they often walk around with them as a couple in the prison yard, and the teenage boy or the young boy will usually have their hands in their master's pocket, okay? Or they walk around, right? So it's a symbol when you say that, hey, you can jump into my pocket. It's a symbol that means in prison culture, in American prison culture, it means that you can be my little bitch and I'll protect you since you can't protect yourself, since you don't have the guts, the courage to protect yourself, okay? So it kind of got me pissed off, okay? And I started puffing out my chest at Bob like, you know, who are you to call me your little bitch or your little punk or your little boy toy, you know? And I knew that that's not what he meant. I knew Bob. I've been friends with him for a while. He was one of the few guys in there that did not appreciate, you know, he was a man's man, okay? He did not believe in raping little boys, you know, and just doing that. He was like, hey man, you know, men are supposed to be men, you know, you don't go take advantage of a teenager just because he came into prison, doesn't know what's going on. So he was one of the guys that was always looking out for all the young guys that came into prison and making sure they don't get raped or get sexually assaulted or get taken advantage of by other prisoners. And a lot of the other prisoners that were experienced, right, that they were kind of afraid of him. The bad guys were afraid of him because he did not back down from the bad guys, okay? So he was like a hero to all the young guys like myself, and he had a lot of respect from us, okay? So when he opened up his pocket and he offered me shelter and comfort, you know, if I was scared, you know, he didn't mean it in a manner that you know, what he meant was I can go through the rest of my life and be scared and be afraid, right? Or I can go out there and be somebody's little bitch or little slave or something like that, somebody's little boy toy, okay? And so that made me, you know, wake up, and I snapped out of my, you know, chicken shit mindset that time, and I went and I did what needed, that I knew what needed to be done to correct the situation, okay, and to protect myself and not get in trouble for what somebody else did, okay. So I'm not going to go into details of what happened or after that, you know, but just know that I went and took care of it. The lesson here to learn is that I was asking Bob for permission. I went and asked Bob for permission to do something because at that time I was scared. I was scared that I was going to get more time in prison for someone else's contraband, right? I was scared of this, I was scared of that. So every time I needed to do something, I would go and ask him for permission, ask him what he thought was. But the reality was I knew what needed to be done. I knew the correct action steps that I needed to take, but I was so scared that when I went and consulted with Bob, what I was really asking for was I was really asking for permission to go do what I knew needed to be done. I was borrowing, when I went to Bob, I was borrowing his courage. I was borrowing his courage because he was much older, he had more experience in life, he had made more money in his life than I had, so I was borrowing his experience, I was borrowing his courage, right? And the thing that Bob was telling me was that, Ty, you don't need to come ask me for permission. You are old enough and you have enough experience to make the right decisions for your life. You don't need to keep asking me for permission. You don't need to keep asking me to borrow my courage to go make the decisions to make your life better, okay? And after that, after we got that cleared out, moving forward, every time I went to Bob and I asked him about something, and when he knew that I knew the answer, when Bob knew that I knew the right answer and the right action steps to take, right, to move my life forward, right, Bob would always tell me, Ty, you got to go out there and learn business, learn to be an entrepreneur, take advantage of the American system. You're going the wrong route, man. You're going this ghetto-ass route, this poverty mindset route. That is not the correct route for you. He said, you came to this America to take advantage of the opportunities here. You need to go take advantage of it because you're not a real criminal. He goes, I'm a real criminal. I deserve to be in prison. You're not. You need to go out there and take advantage of what America offers to people like you so that you can become wealthy and you can live the life that you want. Stop doing what I'm doing and go live the American dream and go make it your dream. Go make your dream a reality in America. He goes, everything is out there. Go do it. Stop, being afraid. Stop asking me for permission. When and I remember Bob telling me this all the time. He said, one day you're going to be free and you're going to be out there. I'm not going to be there to loan you my courage. I'm not going to be there to give you permission. You got to stop asking for permission to make your American dream come true. You got to stop borrowing someone else's courage to go build your American dream, okay? He goes, go live the life you want to live. Go make it happen. Stop breaking the law and follow the American laws and make it happen, okay? Stop asking for permission. Stop borrowing my courage or anyone else's courage, right? So after that, every time I see Bob and I get ready to open my mouth to ask him something, Bob would always open up his pocket and he would shake his pocket like this. He would shake his pocket, right? And I would not ask him the question because I knew what he was going to tell me. I knew that he was going to tell me that, Ty, you need to go out there and do what you know is right for you and your family, right? To pursue your dreams. Stop being scared, okay? The reason why I share this story with you guys, okay, because I did not become financially free until my late 40s in my life because I was always scared when I was a teenager. I was scared that people would laugh at me, if I failed. I was scared that if I made a bad decision and I lost all my money, that my friends, my colleagues, everyone around me would laugh at me and make fun of me. I was scared. I was so scared when I was a teenager because I never had anyone around me to tell me to be brave, okay? And it sucks, guys. It sucks to grow up in the greatest and most powerful country in the world. To grow up as a teenager, to be broke, to be poor, and worse, to be scared all the time, okay? I'm making this video, guys, to share with you guys. Yes, the crypto market is crashing. It's hurting everyone. Yes, it sucks if you got into Bitcoin when it's at $20,000. It sucks, right? Some of you guys out there selling your Bitcoins, some of you guys out there are selling your cryptos. If your project, your crypto project you invested in was bad, you know, that sucks, okay? Hold on here. Hey, I'm still shooting the videos. Yeah, I'm still shooting the videos. Okay, all right. Okay, guys. It sucks, right, that this bear market we're going through. And I want to share something with you guys. I'm sharing with you guys not to be scared, to have courage, to actually sit through this bear market. There has never, no, I should not say never. If you look at the historical record of Bitcoin, after it's crashed 80, 85, 90%, historically, from the records, if we bought in at the bottom, okay, if we bought in at the bottom after Bitcoin has crashed 80, 90%, anyone who did that has come out ahead if they held into the next up market, okay? And the reason why I'm sharing this story with you guys is I hear many of you guys, I hear people around me, they're asking me for permission to buy Bitcoin. Is this the right time to buy right now? Should I wait for it to go more? So they're asking me for permission, just like I was asking Bob for permission. The people around me are asking me to borrow my courage so they can go out there and buy the Bitcoins. They know what needs to be done. They know that this is an opportunity to make life-changing profits. Okay? This is an opportunity to make life-changing money. This is an opportunity to make life-changing finances in our life. This opportunity will not happen again in a future lifetime. Okay? So I'm sharing this with you guys so that you guys are not afraid to go out there and do that. Have the courage, have the balls to go. This is an entirely new asset class. This is going to change the world of finances. Okay? Do not wait to ask another person for permission. Do not ask to borrow someone else's courage to go out there and invest your money into crypto. I'm not telling you to put all your money, all right? But put a small portion of it and hold on to it and not be afraid, okay? When I was a teenager, it sucks because I didn't have any courage. I did not know how to be courageous. I didn't know how to be brave. I did not know how to do what I knew was best for me and my family, okay? I'm making this video to share with you guys this so you guys have, I hope that it inspires you guys to have the courage to go and do what you know needs to be done or know what needs to be right for you and your family, okay? If you like these videos, guys, give me a thumbs up, right? If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. I'll stop making them, all right? I gotta go pick up this order that just got delivered here from my wife, you know? So I'm gonna see you guys in a future video. If you wanna follow me, it's at HeyTaiZen on Twitter, okay? Thanks.